It's with great pleasure to introduce to you the Riverside Fire Department Honor Guard.
Honor Guard, pipe the drum, attend, Jerry, go. Pipe major, by your command, pipes and drums. Starting in the day, 4-4, ready, by the drums, quick. Honor Guard, prepare to post colors. Post. Ready. Shoot. Ready. Face. Uniform personnel, present all.
I would like to introduce Abby Maddox, who is going to sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
At this time, I'd like to introduce Riverside Fire Department Explorer Skylar Potter to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, on. Honor Guard, ready, face. Pipe major, by your command, pipes and drums. Balmoral, 3-4, ready, by the drums, quick.
All right, I want to thank our honor guard, Abby Maddox and Skylar Potter, for your assistance today. I'd like to introduce one of our fire chaplains, John Caprio, for an invocation.
God, today we come before you with heavy hearts as we remember the events that occurred on September 11, 2001, and the days that followed. For some of us, today will be an embrace of a full range of emotions. We hurt deeply for those who lost their lives and for those who lost loved ones. Lord, we are humbled by the bravery of those first responders, and we mourn with all those who died that day, as well as mourning the lives lost subsequently to 9/11 illnesses and the thousands more who continue to struggle with physical and emotional health relating to the events that occurred. Lord, today remember the bravery of the first responders who went toward the danger to help those whom they may have never met or known, who, Lord, showed courage and bravery, who brought comfort in the midst of tragedy. We continue to grieve with our neighbors as we think of the way New York and D.C. responded as churches and synagogues and temples opened their doors to all people, as strangers carried each other out of buildings, and to those who had shared with those who had lost. We still remember how the world responded, supporting us and even declaring us, "Today we are all American," the headlines read. God of all people, teach us to be patriotic, but humbly so. Teach us to see the frailty and beauty and value of life in light of the tragedy, rather than using it to elevate differences. Remind us of the response of the American people. Remind us on the way the true heart of this nation's people are. Reveal in us an open doors, open arms, and open hearts. May we never forget on that day that we did not focus on nationality, on wealth, or politics. We focused on need, on humanity, and on love. Call us back to that place again in our hearts. Instill in us the deepest sense of a call to be that people again, focusing on need, humanity, and love. We lift up to you all those who today suffer from the loss, and may we continue to heal and help each other just the way we did on that day. Amen.
Please be seated. On behalf of the mayor and the entire city council, welcome to the City of Riverside 9/11 ceremony, remembrance ceremony. Today we gather in honor and remembrance of the numerous lives lost on that and the heroic efforts of our public safety personnel on the 9/11 attacks. As many may recall, COVID temporarily placed a hold on our previous ceremonies. Though this ceremony will be a bit different, the spirit and purpose remain the same: to remember and honor. The World Trade Center consisted of 110 stories. To commemorate this occasion and in honor of all those who lost their lives, this morning elected officials and city employees will team up as one to use a Stairmaster to climb those 110 stories. This will take place at the conclusion of the ceremony and in this very room. At this time, I'd like to recognize a few guests that are with us today and a couple people who you will hear from here in just a few minutes. I'd like to, and please hold your applause until the end, please. Our fire chief, Mike Moore. Our police chief, Larry Gonzalez. Our mayor, Patricia Locke Dawson. Council member, Steve Hemingway. Representing Congressman Mark Takano, Desiree Rorten. Our state senator, Senator Richard Roth. He's in the back there. China Clark, representing Assemblymember Sabrina Cervantes. Alfred Unified School Board member Lizeth Vega. We also have members of our executive management team here today. Our city manager, Mike Futrell, Assistant City Manager, Rafael Guzman, Assistant City Manager, Chris Martinez, and Assistant City Manager, Edward Enriquez. Thank you for being here today. And for those of you who may not know me, my name is Jim Perry. I'm a city council member, and I represent Ward 6 out on the west side. Finally, I would like to extend my gratitude to the team and staff members who made today possible. Deputy Chief Jeff Delory, Fire Captain Mark Thompson, Margie Hopp, Crystal Roa, Tiffany Wheeler, from the Mayor's Office, Zoe Ridgway, and Teresa Mariansky, Scott Brocious, Phil Pitchford, and my assistant, Sandy Garcia Vasquez. Thank you for everything that you've done. Most of us remember exactly where we were and what we were doing at the time this horrific event took place. Much like this morning, 9/11 started out as a bright sunny day in many of the cities across our nation. Many started their workday by simply and innocently going to work or boarding a commercial airline plane, with their dreams and future all in front of them. Unfortunately, this would quickly come to an unforgivable end. As the hijacked planes found their target, public safety personnel responded and heroically did what they were trained to do: protect life and property. While citizens aboard at least one of the planes band together to fight the cowards who hijacked them. This horrific event was beyond our wildest imagination. As all appeared lost within the ruins of the World Trade Center, there was a shining moment. This took place as firefighters working within the rubble located a beacon of hope. You will remember this moment, when the greatest symbol of peace, freedom, and liberty, the Stars and Stripes, Old Glory herself, the American flag, emerged from the rubble. Though a bit tattered, she remained strong and lived to continue to fly above and across our nation. This moment brought us together and united us across this nation. We took it upon ourselves to post flags outside our homes and our businesses. In many of our neighborhoods, you saw a sea of red, white, and blue. This event did not kidnap the pride we have in our country. Buildings may have gone down, but it did not take down the spirit or the pride we have for our country. Today, we pay our deepest respect and gratitude to everyone who lost their lives, their family, their friends, and let them know we will never, ever forget them. Each of them, in their own patriotic way, made the ultimate sacrifice so we could be a free country and allow each of us to pursue our hopes and dreams. May their spirits continue to live long and strong. At this time, I would like to introduce our mayor, Patricia Locke Dawson.
Thank you, Councilmember Perry. I also did want to recognize Councilmember Philip Falcone from Ward 1 is also here this morning. So, welcome, members of our beloved Riverside community, honored guests, veterans, and first responders. Today we gather to remember the significance of this occasion. This is the 23rd commemoration of September 11th, 2011. It's a date that continues to live in our memories. Many of us, as Councilmember Perry said, still remember where we were on this day 23 years ago. And I know each one of you sitting out there is thinking, if you were there, if you remember where you were. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. And I want to take this time now to pause and remember the 3,000 lives that were tragically lost. The heroes who sacrificed their lives in the face of terror, in the enduring spirit of resilience that continues to define us as a nation. So please pause with me now in a moment of silence. You know, in Riverside, we felt this loss deeply. Riverside's own Urban Search and Rescue California Task Force 6, some of whom are here today with us, engaged in search and rescue efforts in New York City immediately following the tragedy for 11 days. Our very own Riverside TV produced the 2021 documentary film 9/11, One City Remembers, which honors those who have perished in the challenges of California Task Force 6 during their duty in New York City, which they went to do willingly. As we remember those who put their lives on the line, let's also commit ourselves to a future where love triumphs over hatred, understanding over division. Please do not let those lives be lost in vain. Let's reflect on the lessons learned from that day. Strive to create a society that values unity, compassion, and respect for one another, regardless of our backgrounds or beliefs. In Riverside, we build on that legacy. We foster relationships among our diverse communities and recognize that we're stronger together. We honor our first responders, not just today, but every day, understanding the sacrifices they make to keep our community safe. And may their light inspire us to honor the memories of those lost, not only in our hearts, but in our actions. May we strive to be vigilant defenders of peace, champions of kindness, and unwavering advocates for justice. After the ceremony, Councilmember Perry mentioned fellow City Riverside employees and I will collectively climb the 110 flights of stairs to honor the Twin Towers that once stood. Thank you, and may we never forget. I'd like to ask now our Riverside Police Chief, Larry Gonzalez, to please come forward and say a few words. Chief.
Good morning, everybody. How about that RFD pipe and drum band? That was awesome. Give them another round of applause. That was good. Excellent. Well, welcome to the safest spot in the entire city of Riverside this morning. I stand before you here today as your Chief of Police, humbled and grateful for the opportunity to address you all on this very special occasion. As we gather here to remember the events of 9/11 and honor our fallen heroes, we're reminded of the power of unity and the resilience of the human spirit. For me, 9/11 is not just a tragic chapter in our history. It's a deeply personal experience that has helped shape my commitment to public service. You've heard it from the last couple speakers. You'll probably hear it from the rest of them, but everybody remembers where they're at. I remember as a child growing up, my mom would always tell me she remembered where she was at when JFK was shot and killed. She remembers where she's at when she heard Elvis died. For me growing up, I remember when the space shuttle blew up, exactly where I was at. And then there was this. I was actually teaching a class at the police academy right here at Ben Clark Training Center. It started at 6 in the morning, which is 9 o'clock on the East Coast, right when everything started happening. And I remembered us huddled around a police car listening to the radio events thinking this wasn't real. And the eerie feeling of having all the airspace be shut down. Those are just some of the things you think about, how there was no airplanes in the air for several days. I saw the fear, the devastation, and the overwhelming loss. But what I also witnessed was an extraordinary bravery and selflessness displayed by our first responders. On that day, police officers, firefighters, and emergency personnel rushed towards danger, putting their own lives in line to save others. They became beacons of hope in the midst of chaos, embodying the very essence of heroism. The sacrifice will forever be etched in our hearts and our minds. I remember just listening. I was listening to a speaker a couple weeks ago at a training class who wrote a book called 24 Hours in the Bunker with the President. And it was given that presentation, it just brought everything back from 23 years ago, because we forget about some of the intricacies that happened on that day. Today, we gather not only to remember those that we lost, but to also honor their legacy. We paid tribute to fallen heroes from our own police department, the brave men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice in service of their community. Their names echo through the halls of our memory, and their spirits continue to guide us and inspire us. Right here at Riverside Police Department, we've lost 16 police officers since our existence, and since I've been a police officer, we've lost 4 in the line of duty. 2 of them, the 2 most recent ones, ironically served their country overseas, 2 different tours, only to get gunned down in their own community that they serve. I can tell you from personal experience, nothing impacts an organization more than a line of duty death. So I couldn't imagine that many that happened in New York that day. I get sick and tired of wearing this. A lot of people ask what this is. It's a mourning band. And in California, Riverside PD, we wear these when there's a fallen officer in the state of California, which is about 6 months out of the year, if you average it out. If we did it for the entire country, we'd probably wear it every day, sadly. But we must never forget the impact of their loss, not only to their families and the loved ones, but also to our entire community. It's our duty to remember their contributions, to ensure that their names and stories live on. Can we take a moment to express our gratitude for their service and to recognize the indelible mark that they've left in our lives? But honoring our heroes goes beyond remembrance. It's about taking action. We can commemorate their legacy by coming together as a community. We can organize memorial events, support their families, and participate in charity initiatives that align with their values. Just as we're doing here today, we can actively engage in acts of kindness and service, knowing that each small gesture carries the spirit of our fallen heroes forward. In times of adversity, unity and resilience become our guiding lights. We've witnessed communities coming together in the face of tragedy, supporting and uplifting one another. Let us be inspired by their example. Let us foster unity, compassion, and resilience within our own community of Riverside, ensuring that we honor our fallen heroes, not just in words, but in our actions. I would like to express my deepest gratitude for all of you coming here today. Your presence not only honors our fallen heroes, but also signifies the strength of our community here in Riverside, especially in times of remembrance and reflection. It is through our collective support that we can find solace and healing. As I conclude, let us remember that the power of unity lies within each and every one of us. Together we can build a stronger, more compassionate society, one that upholds the values of our fallen heroes that they held dear also. May their courage continue to inspire us and their memory live on in our hearts. Thank you for your attention, and may we always stand united. I'd now like to introduce Fire Chief Mike Moore.
Thank you, and thank you, Councilman Perry, for putting this all together and working with our great team to make this a memorable event. This is probably one of the best that I've experienced here in the city, and just want to continue to give honor and praise to those that went before us. We just thank you again for being here just to support us in this, and much like it has been said, we all remember where we were on that unfaithful and unfortunate day. I kind of reflect back to getting ready for being the training chief at the time, ironing my uniform, which kind of is funny because we a lot of times don't iron uniforms. Now we go to the cleaners and other things, but just being in that room away from the family that was still asleep with just a small TV and just seeing the images and again not believing that it was true, and waking up some of my family to let them know that what was going on. So we will never forget. So 23 years ago today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, and our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate acts of terror. Those heartbreaking images etched in our minds that day filled our nation with disbelief, terror, sadness, and quite unyielding anger. That day was intended to frighten the nation into chaos and retreat. Our nation faced evil in the very worst of human nature that day. But our enemies failed as a result of our country remained stronger than ever. And with the unwavering foundation of American faith, these acts may have shattered steel, but they could not dent the steel of American resolve. We will never forget the nearly 3,000 beautiful lives that were suddenly taken from us. Thousands were affected and continue to be affected. America was targeted for disaster, but we, the brightest beacon of freedom and opportunity, didn't waver. And no one will and can keep that light from shining. Today, we honor the courage of those who put themselves in harm's way to save people who they never knew, responding to the call of America with the best of America. Our firefighters, including our own Riverside, California Task Force 6 members, responded to the call alongside of policemen and policewomen, rescue workers, and others, saving and caring and assisting strangers that they never knew. We come together in prayer and gratitude and strength that fortifies us. For over 2 decades, we have done this. We renew love, commitment, and faith that binds us together as one American family. We have seen in countless generations of Americans, our men and women in uniform, diplomats, intelligence, homeland security, and law enforcement, and professionals, all who have stepped forward to serve, who have risked and given their lives to help keep us safe. Across the country today, Americans come together in service and remembrance. We run over our fingers over the names and on the memorials. We walk through the hollow grounds of the cemeteries. We remember the gleaming towers that once pierced the New York skylines, but in the end, most enduring memorials are those we lost, enduring the America we continue to be. By standing true to ourselves, upholding the best within us, resisting attempts to divide us, this is the day when all Americans from every walk of life unite in resolve for justice and peace. America has stood down enemies before, and we will continue to do so. None of us will ever forget this day, yet we go forward to defend freedom and all that is good and just in the world, and how we conduct ourselves as individuals, as a nation. We have the opportunity to deliver and just to serve. May God bless the memory of the loved ones that we hear here and across the country. They remain in our hearts. May we watch over these faithful families and all of those who protect us. And may God forever bless the United States of America. Thank you, and we just want to continue to honor those that went before us, and we thank you again for being here. Now, if we would just have a moment of silence. Thank you.
men and women of today's fire service are confronted with a more dangerous work environment than ever before. We are forced to continually change our strategies and tactics to accomplish our tasks. Our methods may change, but our goals remain the same as they were in the past, to save lives and protect property, sometimes at a terrible cost. This is what we do. This is our chosen profession, and this is the tradition of the firefighter. The fire service of today is ever-changing, but is steeped in traditions over 200 years old. One such tradition is the ringing of a bell. In the past, as firefighters began their tour of duty, it was the bell that signaled the beginning of that day's shift. Throughout the day and night, each alarm was sounded by a bell, which summoned these brave souls to fight fires and place their lives in jeopardy for the good of their fellow citizens. And when the fire was out and the alarm had come to an end, it was a bell that signaled to all the completion of the call. And when a firefighter died, paying the supreme sacrifice, it was the mournful toll of the bell that solemnly announced a comrade's passing. We utilize these traditions as symbols, which reflect honor and respect for those who have given so much and have served so well, to symbolize the devotion that these brave souls had for their duty. These three tolls represent the end of our comrades' duty, their tour complete, and they will be returning to quarters. And so, to those who have selflessly dedicated their lives to serving others, their task complete, their duties done. To our comrades, their last alarm, they are going home.
Don't they do such a great job? I just want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for taking some time out of your day to come down here and spend it with all of us. It means a great deal to everyone. So thank you so very, very, very much. This is going to conclude this portion of the activities. We're going to be transitioning now into the Stairmaster, where elected officials and city employees will be doing 110 stories. So thank you again very much, and have a great day. And also, as you exit the chambers, there is a piece of the World Trade Center out there on display.